Hey family, it's your sis Lisa. I hope you're doing well. So today I want to talk to you guys about imposter syndrome and procrastination, how those things coexist, how we need to get rid of them, how they've shown up in my life. We just want to talk about it. So let's get into the video. Okay, so the term imposter syndrome gets used a lot. So I think we need to actually look it up and define it. So one definition I found was imposter syndrome, also called perceived fraudulence, involves feelings of self-doubt or personal incompetence that persist despite your education, experience, and accomplishments. And this can manifest itself in so many ways. It could be like you getting a promotion at work or getting a new job and really feeling like, yo, I don't belong here. I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't have what it takes. Yet the evidence shows that you were hired for this job. It shows that you were put in this position, so clearly they trust that you can do it. Like, there are different things that the math ain't mathin' to you, for lack of a better term, but it makes sense to everyone else and to the reality of the situation. But to you, you're caught in your own head of, I don't belong here, I don't deserve this. And for me, some ways that can come up is when I think about the promises God has given me and the ways I know He's going to move in my life. I'll be like, God, who? I feel like you got the wrong one. I feel like you got the wrong lady. Like, are you talking to me? You sure? Just when I think about some of the things He's promised me. And I think a lot of us can get into that, especially when it comes to hearing God on the promises He has for us. Because you think to yourself, like, I'm not nothing, but sometimes you're like, I'm nothing compared to what you're saying. I don't see how that's gonna happen. I don't have the resources. I don't know what you're talking about, God. And I think sometimes we can let imposter syndrome get in the way of our faith, where it's like, okay, God, I hear you saying this, and I know you said this, but I don't see how that's gonna happen with me. I don't see how you could give me this platform. I don't see how you could give me this job. I don't see how you could bless me with this spouse when I've never been in love. Like, things like that can pop up in our minds, and those are just some examples. But there are things that can pop up for us that just try to attempt to show us that, oh, you could never. And we know what that is, a lie from the enemy, and not what we're gonna take, period. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's something we need to think about when we think about imposter syndrome, is think about what is the root of it. Because there's a difference between being humble and straight up being not confident. And I think that's something you develop for yourself. Like, what does it look like for you to be humble? But what does it look like for you to be like not confident? What does it look like for you to not feel good in your own skin or feel like you have imposter syndrome, like you're believing something that actually isn't real in the situation? And something that helps me with that is taking a step back from like, okay, what did God say? What am I seeing? And what am I perceiving? So for me, for example, right, when it comes to getting a new job, let's say, I would say, okay, I'm applying for these jobs, I get a big job, I get a big promotion, great. My first thought is probably going to be, oh no, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't know who they think I am, but I fooled them again. Like, but that could be your first thought. And then it comes to, okay, what is the reality of the situation? The reality of the situation is they hired you. They see you as someone who belongs here. They see you as someone who could excel in this position and help them excel their mission as well. And then what am I perceiving? I'm perceiving that I may be scared. It may be fear. It may be a lack of belief. It may be confusion. It may be a lot of things. But nothing that actually comes from God. So it's really finding the root of those things that's leading to your imposter syndrome, and as I love to say, debunking the lies of the enemy. Because what we're not going to do, you know what I'm saying? So that's imposter syndrome. So next I want to talk about procrastination, because for me, imposter syndrome and procrastination, they're starting to be one and the same. They're starting to link up and be buddies, and we can't have that. So let me say what procrastination is. Procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. And Bishop Rosie O'Neill has this quote that is chef's kiss, amazing. It says, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what He gave you a chance to do today. My God. Convicting, isn't it? Because for me, I was watching a sermon recently, and pastor was talking about how our belief, like our lack of belief, can stop us from pursuing things and can stop us from perceiving what we are capable of. And she was saying she was praying for herself, and she was like, God, I need discipline in this area. And he was like, you don't lack discipline, you lack belief in the promises I gave you. Believe in yourself. And I was like, you know what? I feel convicted. Obviously, I'll drop that sermon down below. But I felt convicted because when it comes to me with schoolwork, guys, I'm just real transparent, real honest. She's getting better. She's growing. But I turn a lot of work in late because I'll be sitting there. There was one weekend where I just sat there looking at the paper and I was trying to write, and I was like, God, I can't do this. I'm not capable of this. I'm not capable of writing about this topic. I don't know what I'm talking about. I sound stupid. I sound like I'm just trying to get words together. I can't do this. And I just didn't turn something in that week. And by the time I actually finished it and got it turned in, it was perfect, except for the late points, like the points I got off for being late. And I had to think, that's for me a level of imposter syndrome and procrastination working together, because I get scared that I don't know what I'm talking about. I get scared that I don't know what I'm doing. I get scared that I'm not called to be there, honestly. I'm getting my Master's of Divinity right now, and it comes, even just taking my classes sometimes feels like, God, I'm not even worthy to be studying this, or I'm not as smart as these things need me to be. I don't know what I'm doing. I am done. I just finished my 4th semester out of 6. I shouldn't, like, there's no, that the evidence says, Lisa, you know what you're talking about. You keep passing the classes. You know what I'm saying? You keep showing up. And honestly, I have a really good grade point average. Like, I get A's and B's. I got 1 C one time. We're not going to talk about her. But I get A's and B's. Like, again, most of my points off on any assignment is because it's late. So if I would just believe in myself, know that I can do something, know that this assignment is going to get done, know that I know what I'm talking about, and know that if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can read some more, I can look up some more things, I can figure it out. If I knew that, I was just thinking, how much more effective would I be? I wouldn't procrastinate, I tell you that. Y'all, there was this one test I had to take that I didn't want to do it. I was like, God, I'm going to fail. Like, I'm going to fail this test and I don't want to take it. Like, I'm afraid of what the number will be. And I took it, did fairly well. But then again, got points off because it was late. So that's down to me and procrastination. And I even think when it comes to like procrastination, and that was the arrogant assumption that I would get another chance to do it. Because transparently, there are some professors who take off late points and some who do not. It is an arrogant assumption that they would even accept the work that late. One assignment was a few weeks late and the teacher still accepted it, took some points off for being late. But what if the teacher was like, no? Then multiple points, probably would get knocked down a letter grade. And while grades aren't important, what's really important is me gaining the information. I also think part of when you get a master's degree, that is a choice. Like, you are deciding that you're going to keep going. Because a bachelor's degree nowadays, unfortunately, feels like a base level, even though I don't want to talk about it because education system. But it feels like, okay, most people are going to go to college. Most people are going to get higher level of education after high school and go on to a higher level of learning something, you know, whether it's associate's degree, training program, whatever, some kind of formal training after high school. To keep going with your education, and for me to even change industries, as it were, completely, it's a whole nother thing. It's like nerve-wracking because you're just like, this, like, I chose this. I'm out here in these streets. What if I made the wrong choice? Like, you know what I mean? And it's really, it can be a lot for me sometimes. But I have to remember that God called me here. God told me to go to school. God told me to go to school where I'm going to school at. You know, God called me to get a degree in this because he knows what this degree will mean for later. I may not know the fullness of it, but he does. So even when I'm in my day-to-day of going through school, I trust God that I'm going to graduate on time and all that good stuff. But even in the day-to-day of it, I need to trust him and know who I am and know who he called me to be every single day. And that's something I'm working on for myself. And I'll even say with making YouTube videos, that is another area where procrastination and imposter syndrome, they start to add up. And for that one, I feel like I start to see oh, this is annoying, but I start to see things where it says, Lisa, you don't know what you're talking about. Lisa, you don't know what you're doing. If y'all leave comments and I'm slow to reply, it's because I'm slow to look at comments nowadays, because I've gotten so many negative ones that, and honestly, I'll be honest, there's probably more positive than negative, but you know how it is when those negative things stick out to you more than the positive. So what if I just said, you know what? I'm gonna read every comment. If it starts looking negative, I'm gonna go ahead and ignore that one. Maybe even block the person, maybe even delete it, whatever God leads me to that day, however I'm feeling. But it's frustrating because it takes my time away from actually looking at positive comments or from even wanting to make YouTube videos. There was a time where I was like, I need to have it all figured out before I get on the internet and talk about it, because people are just gonna come for me. They're gonna come for my character. They're gonna come for my hearing from God. I just wanna hear from God right now. I don't really want all this stuff. And sometimes I wonder, did I miss out on things because I wasn't sharing my story? I wasn't sharing what I know I needed to share, or doing what I know God called me to do. So as we talk about imposter syndrome and as we talk about, procrastination, we really need to think about what is the root of that. Like for me, I know with school, my procrastination is because I don't believe I can do it, honestly. And that's something I need to work on. And I know my procrastination with making YouTube videos, or my procrastination with really digging into who God called me to be in some areas, is out of not knowing if I'm worthy of it, not knowing if, God, are you sure? Like, you picked me? Like a bit of imposter syndrome. So I just think I really wanted to make this video to say, if you are struggling with belief in yourself, one, you're not alone. Two, it is not impossible for you to get out of it. Like, struggling with belief in yourself is just getting past that is but a prayer away. And also, again, looking at the reality of the situation. With school, literally, again, I don't get bad grades. When I actually do the work, I do well. So what if I just did the work on time? A concept. And then when it comes to like these YouTube videos, there have been, during Vlogmas, which is what this is part of, during Vlogmas, so many people have said, I appreciate your videos, and it's been what I've needed to hear. And they all came on one day where I really needed it, so I know God was looking out, which is amazing. But literally, like, people have been telling me, oh, these are really helpful. I really like this video, I really like that video. Like, the reality of the situation is amazing. Like, it's like, what would I be scared for? What would I be hesitant for? And again, just look at the reality of your situation. Even if your reality is telling you something, what is God telling you at the end of the day? Period. That's all that matters. I mean, your situation could be telling you a lot of things, but what is God telling you? And then look for that. Look for what God's telling you in your current situation, because I promise it's there. You don't be making stuff up, The fact that I can get through school, it's in my situation. The fact that these videos are helpful to somebody and they're helping the people they need to help, and that one day somebody's gonna watch it who needs to watch it. Fruit is everywhere of that. And I may not have 1 million subscribers and 1 million this, 1 million that, whatever, but that's not my portion right now. That's not what God needs me to do right now. And it really reminds me of that scripture, you must be faithful over a few things to be ruler over many. If you're having imposter syndrome because you're like, God, that's what you've called me to, and it's like, it looks far off, just be faithful right now. You know what I mean? Faithful over what he's giving you right now to look over, because he's building you to that. So maybe by the time that thing comes, you won't have imposter syndrome. If you're in a current situation where you have it and you're in that big position and you have imposter syndrome, again, faithful. Just be faithful. Know that you were put there for a reason. God's got you. He would not put you somewhere to embarrass you, to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. If you're trusting him and leaning on him and know he put you there, he's got you. So I'm going to link the sermon below that I was talking about. 10 out of 10. It's so good. Highly recommend watching the whole thing. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. We gonna make it, y'all, because what we're not going to do is have imposter syndrome. What we're not going to do is procrastinate. Period. And I can't wait to see all the great things you achieve when you remember who you are, step up to who you are, and do what you have to do in the moment and not procrastinate. Shout out to me too on that one. I gotta work on it, but we gonna make it. And we are not perfect, but perfecting and not perfect. Not perfect, but progressing. That's the saying. Not perfect, but progressing. So I love you guys. I appreciate you for watching. Drop a comment below. She's gonna do better about reading them and replying to them. And follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff. And yeah, appreciate you for watching. Bye.